Before I say a single word, I want you to do something for me right now. Stand up, find a chair nearby, put one hand lightly on the back of it. Now lift one foot off the floor and count. 1, 2, 3. Keep counting. How far did you get? Some of you stopped at 3 seconds, some at 5. A few of you may have made it past 10 and thought, good, I'm fine. But here's what concerns me. Before you even took that test, some of you may have already been noticing something. Tiny moments, small changes, holding the wall while putting on your pants, pausing just a second longer before stepping off a curb, reaching for the shopping cart sooner than you used to, touching the kitchen counter while standing still, not for support exactly, but just for reassurance. These aren't random. They're your body quietly telling you something. And what I'm about to show you is what that quiet voice is actually trying to say. Here is what that simple test may have just revealed about your future. A landmark study, published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, one of the most respected medical journals in the world, followed 1,702 adults between the ages of 51 and 75 for 7 years. What researchers found shocked the entire medical community. People who could not hold that one-leg position for 10 seconds had an 84% higher risk of dying from any cause within the next decade. Not from falling, from everything. Heart disease, stroke, cancer, neurological decline, organ failure, almost double the risk. And that risk held up even after the researchers adjusted for age, weight, and every health condition the participants already had. In that study, 17.5% of those who failed the test died during follow-up compared to only 4.6% of those who passed. Now, I want you to hear something very clearly. This is not a balance problem. Balance is a signal. It's your body's instrument panel. And that 10-second test is one of the most important warning lights on that panel, one that most people never notice until it's too late. By the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly what your result means. You'll know why this happened specifically in your 60s and not before, why this has far more to do with your brain than your legs, which 3 internal systems are responsible, and how to tell which one is failing in your body, the 4 early warning signs most families completely miss, and 4 specific actions, each one you can do at home, each one taking under 10 minutes, that are clinically proven to improve that number in just weeks. And the final thing I tell you today is something most doctors still never bring up at a routine checkup. The reason why is going to surprise you. Stay with me until the end. Most people, when they hear the words balance problem, think one thing: falling. They think grab bars in the shower, non-slip rugs, taking the stairs more slowly. And look, those things matter. I'm not dismissing them. But that's not what this video is really about, because that 2022 study wasn't about falls. It found that poor balance independently predicts death from heart disease, stroke, cancer, and neurological decline, even in people who had never fallen once in their lives. Let me say that again, because I want it to land. Even in people who had never fallen, which means the fall is not the danger. The fall is just the final warning sign of something that has been developing silently for years. Balance is the readout. What we're actually measuring is the health of your brain, your nervous system, and your cardiovascular system all at once. Poor balance is often not the problem itself. It's the symptom, the visible symptom of deeper changes happening inside your brain and nervous system. I remember sitting with a patient, a woman in her late 60s, still active, still independent, who said something that stayed with me. She said, "Doctor, I don't understand it. I still walk every day, I still do my shopping, but lately I've started feeling nervous when I stand on one foot to put my pants on. It's like my body doesn't trust itself anymore." That sentence haunted me, because what she was describing wasn't weakness. It wasn't even a physical problem yet. It was her nervous system slowly losing confidence in itself. And that feeling, that quiet uncertainty, often begins years before a major fall ever happens. By the time she came to see me, her body had been sending warning signals for at least 2 years. She just didn't know what they meant. Now you will. Here's something that surprises almost every patient I discuss this with. Balance tends to hold reasonably well through your 40s. Into your early 50s, it's still fairly stable. And then something changes. Researchers have documented what they call the 6th decade drop, a steep, accelerating decline in balance performance that starts in the late 50s and picks up speed dramatically through the 60s and 70s. Unlike aerobic fitness or muscle strength, which decline gradually over decades, balance drops fast, and it drops silently. Most people don't notice until a stumble, a near fall, difficulty walking in the dark, or a test exactly like the one you just took. Just to give you some context, under age 40, most people can hold a one-leg balance for about 45 seconds. Between ages 60 and 69, that drops to about 32 seconds. And between 70 and 79, it's down to around 22 seconds. Failing 10 seconds at any point in this range is a clinical signal worth taking seriously. Before we go any further, I want to hear from you. How many seconds did you hold? Drop the number in the comments right now. I read every single one on this channel. And your answer matters because age and balance time together tell a story that determines what's most important for you specifically to know. So write it down. And if you're comfortable, share your age too. Now keep watching, because what I'm about to explain changes everything. I want you to think about this differently for a moment. Standing on one leg for 10 seconds looks like a physical task. It feels like a leg and ankle thing. It is not. It's a full coordination exam. Here's what's actually happening. Imagine your brain is an air traffic control tower managing 3 different radar systems simultaneously. The moment you lift one foot, that tower has to instantly receive live data from your eyes. Visual positioning, from your inner ears, spatial orientation sensors, and from the thousands of pressure sensors embedded in your feet, ankles, and legs. Every single second, those systems are sending updates. Where is the body leaning? Is the ankle drifting? Has the head tilted? Is the floor stable? How is weight shifting? Your brain must process all of that in real time and make hundreds of tiny corrections every minute just to keep you upright. If any one of those radar systems is degraded, the tower works harder. If 2 of them are degraded, the tower may not cope. Balance is the output. The tower's coordination is what we're actually measuring. That's why balance isn't simply about your legs. It's your brain, revealing how efficiently these systems are still working together. 3 regions of the brain do this work. The first is the cerebellum. That's the structure at the base of the back of your brain. Think of it as your internal conductor. It fine-tunes movement and balance in real time, hundreds of corrections per second, none of them conscious, none of them voluntary. You don't decide to balance. Your cerebellum just does it automatically. The second is the frontal lobes. These are the regions at the front of your brain that govern planning, attention, and executive function. They're involved in what researchers call anticipatory control, telling your body what adjustment to make before you fall, not after. That advanced warning system matters enormously. The third is the vestibular system, the balance sensors inside your inner ear. We'll talk about this one in detail in just a moment. Now here's the part I need every viewer over 60 to hear very clearly. These 3 regions, the cerebellum, the frontal lobes, and the vestibular system, are often the first areas to show measurable deterioration in early Alzheimer's disease, early stroke damage, small vessel disease of the brain, and vascular dementia. Balance is not just connected to the brain. Balance is the brain showing you what's happening inside it. Let me show you what that looks like in real research. Scientists at Kyoto University in Japan studied 1,387 men and women with an average age of 67. They gave each person a balance test. Then they scanned every single brain using an MRI. What they found was a direct, undeniable connection between balance time and something called silent infarctions. Silent infarctions are tiny injuries inside the brain, caused by small blood vessel damage, that produce no pain, no symptoms, no warning at all. You can have them right now and have absolutely no idea. But each one scars brain tissue, and each silent infarction significantly increases your risk of a full stroke and of dementia down the road. In the Kyoto study, 34.5% of people with multiple silent brain lesions could not balance properly on one leg. Their balance test was already showing what the MRI would later confirm. The balance test predicted the brain scan. This was published in the journal Stroke, and the inability to balance on one leg for 20 seconds correlated significantly with silent brain lesions, even after adjusting for cardiovascular risk factors. And then in 2024, a massive analysis out of South Korea looked at 143,788 adults who were assessed at age 66. The people with poor balance at that single checkup had an 83% higher overall risk of developing dementia later in life, an 80% higher risk of Alzheimer's disease specifically, and a nearly 3 times higher risk of vascular dementia, the kind caused by reduced blood flow to the brain. These were not people who already had dementia. These were people who, at the time of the test, had no diagnosis, no symptoms, no memory complaints. Their balance was predicting their future, years before it arrived. This was published in the Journal of Prevention of Alzheimer's Disease, with over 143,000 Korean adults assessed at age 66. Now I want to walk you through the three specific systems that are responsible for this, because knowing which one is failing in your body changes everything about how you fix it. And one of them, almost nobody suspects it. System number one is the one most people have never even thought about. Inside each of your inner ears are tiny fluid-filled canals. Lining those canals are hair cells, microscopic sensors, thinner than the finest thread, that detect the slightest tilt, turn, or movement of your head. Every fraction of a second, those hair cells send your brain a precise update. This is where your head is in space. Now here's the problem. Those hair cells die as we age, and they do not grow back. By the time most people reach their 70s, they've lost between 20 and 40% of their vestibular hair cell population. The system that used to update your brain 50 times per second about where you are in space is now doing that job at reduced accuracy, reduced speed, and reduced precision. And here's the part that frustrates me about our medical system. This decline is almost never screened for at a routine annual exam. Most people don't find out their vestibular system is degraded until after a serious fall. This is why closing your eyes makes the test dramatically harder. When vision is removed, the vestibular system must carry more of the load, and at 65 or 70, it often cannot. This is why some people suddenly start saying things like, "I don't feel steady turning around quickly anymore," or "I feel off balance walking in the dark." When vision becomes less reliable, the inner ear system must work harder, and in many older adults, it no longer performs efficiently enough to compensate. System number two is the one almost nobody suspects. I call it the body's GPS. Beneath the skin of your feet and ankles, and all the way up your legs, there are thousands of microscopic sensors called proprioceptors. Every millisecond, they're sending your brain a detailed positional map. Where is your foot? How much pressure is on the outside edge? Is your ankle drifting forward? How is your weight distributed? This is what lets you walk through a dark room without falling, without thinking about each step, without staring at your feet. Your GPS is handling it. But after 60, those nerve fibers thin. The update speed slows. The precision falls. This is one of the main reasons balance begins to feel effortful in your late 60s when it never did before. And it's why surfaces that never bothered you before, a gravel path, a thick carpet, an uneven sidewalk, suddenly start to feel genuinely uncertain. The GPS is losing signal. The nervous system is receiving less precise information from the ground up, and your brain is working much harder to fill in the gaps. System number three is muscle response speed, and this one is all about timing. Even when your brain detects a balance disturbance, even when the air traffic control tower sees the plane drifting, it still has to send a fast correction signal to your ankle, hip, and core muscles. The time between sensing the disturbance and the muscles actually responding is measured in milliseconds, and that window determines whether you catch yourself or fall. After 60, nerve conduction slows. The correction signal travels more slowly, the muscles react later. And there's a second layer here. The body has two recovery strategies. The ankle strategy, small, quick corrections at the ankle joint for minor imbalances, and the hip strategy, a larger, faster trunk movement for bigger disturbances. As hip and core strength decline with age, that second backup strategy becomes unreliable, so you have two emergency systems. In many adults over 65, both are degraded at the same time. This is why so many people say, "I almost caught myself." Almost. Now here's what I want you to hold on to, because this is the part that changes everything. These three systems are not fixed. They are not beyond repair. They respond to training, at any age. And I'm going to show you exactly how. But first, the warning signs you need to know. There are 4 behavioral changes that tend to appear before someone fails the 10-second balance test. Before a stumble, before a fall. Most people never connect them to balance. Most families see them and say, "That's just getting older." It's not just getting older, and I want you to know exactly what to look for. The first one is a widening stance. When the vestibular and proprioceptive systems begin to degrade, the body compensates automatically. Without thinking about it, the person starts standing with their feet wider apart than shoulder width, sometimes substantially wider. It's the body trying to create a larger, more stable base because its internal systems can no longer be trusted to maintain a narrow one. Most people never notice they've started doing this, but if you watch someone stand still, at the kitchen counter, waiting in line, standing at the mailbox, and their feet are notably wide apart, that's a signal. The second is reaching for things when standing still. Not during obvious hazards, but during routine standing. Getting up from a chair and touching the armrest on the way up, reaching for a doorframe while crossing a room, touching the counter while waiting at the kitchen sink, not for support exactly, but just to feel something solid nearby. The body is outsourcing its balance to the environment because its internal systems are struggling. Watch for this in yourself and in people you love. The third one surprises people. It's reduced arm swing while walking. In healthy walking, the arms swing in natural counterbalance to the legs. It happens automatically because the cerebellum and frontal lobe coordination systems are working smoothly together. When that coordination starts to lose synchrony, one of the first visible signs is the arms stop swinging as much, or stop swinging altogether. Neurologists assess this in every single movement examination. Families almost never notice it. The fourth is avoiding uneven ground without a clear reason. When someone starts skipping the porch steps, walking around the gravel path, taking a longer route to avoid an uneven parking lot, it's often not weakness. It's the nervous system, below the level of conscious awareness, recognizing that it can no longer trust itself on that surface. The body is making decisions that the person may not even realize they're making. Now, I want to address something directly. The person whose balance is declining is often the last one to fully realize it. That's well documented in the neurology literature. Family members notice first, and almost universally, they attribute it to age and say nothing. If you're watching this for someone you love, I want to give you the exact words to use. You can say, I want you to try something with me. Stand near a chair, lift one foot, count to 10. Not because anything is wrong, because I want us to know where you're starting from, while there's still time to do something about it. That conversation, started early, can change what happens next. And this matters for a reason much bigger than balance. Because once balance decline becomes severe after 70, life can shrink very quickly. I've watched it happen. People stop walking outside, they avoid stairs, they stop carrying groceries alone, some become afraid of showering without someone nearby, and after one major fall, many older adults never fully regain the confidence they had before. They stop trusting their own body, and that loss of trust becomes a cage. That's why this conversation matters so much. This isn't just about standing on one foot. This is about protecting independence, the freedom to walk confidently, to travel, to visit friends, to live on your own terms, and the earlier you protect that system, the more years of freedom you preserve. Now, I want to give you something incredibly important, because everything I've described in this video, the vestibular decline, the proprioceptive loss, the slowing muscle response, these are not permanent sentences. They respond to training, at any age. A 2024 study from VU University Amsterdam showed measurable improvement in balance recovery after just 10 training sessions in adults over 65. 10 sessions. Not a year, not months, 10 sessions. The brain's plasticity does not switch off in your 70s. The systems we've been talking about, they are adaptable, and I'm going to show you exactly how to adapt them. Action number 1. 2 minutes a day at your kitchen counter. Here's exactly what you do. Stand at the kitchen counter. Rest one hand on the surface very lightly, just enough for safety, not enough to support your weight. Lift one foot off the floor. Hold it as long as you comfortably can, then switch feet. Do this twice a day. Once in the morning while you wait for your coffee. Once in the evening during a commercial break. That's it. The goal is not 10 seconds on day 1. The goal is progress from wherever you started today. Research confirms that this specific practice, challenging the one-leg stance directly, stimulates the proprioceptors, recalibrates the vestibular spinal reflex, and produces measurable improvements in balance time within weeks of consistent practice. Safety first. Always near a wall or counter. Never on a slippery floor in socks. Never push through pain or dizziness. The goal is challenge, not risk. Action number 2 directly targets the system most often ignored, the vestibular system inside your inner ears. In 2015, a clinical study split women aged 60 to 76 into 2 groups. One group did generic balance exercises. The other did a program specifically designed to challenge the vestibular system through slow, deliberate head and body movements. The vestibular group improved significantly more. Here's the exercise. Stand at the counter. Slowly turn your head to the left. Hold 2 seconds. Return to center. Turn to the right. Hold 2 seconds. Return. Now slowly tilt your head down toward your chest. Hold 2 seconds. Slowly look up. Hold 2 seconds. 3 minutes. Same counter. Same time every morning. These movements directly stimulate the fluid-filled canals of the inner ear and prompt the brain to recalibrate its balance signals. It's vestibular rehabilitation, the same type used in clinical settings. adapted for home use. Just 3 minutes daily can make a meaningful difference. Action number 3, the walking tightrope. Walk heel to toe in a straight line, placing each foot directly in front of the other along an imaginary line, like a tightrope walker. 12 steps forward, turn around, 12 steps back. Once a day, along a hallway or down the kitchen. This exercise challenges all 3 systems simultaneously: vestibular, proprioceptive, and cerebellar coordination. It's one of the 4 assessments used in the CDC's STEADY protocol, which is the clinical framework American physicians use for fall prevention in older adults. Studies show measurable improvement in gait and balance in 4 weeks of daily practice, and for many older adults, it improves walking confidence surprisingly quickly. Action number 4. This is the one most people skip, and it's the one that closes the loop. Go to your primary care physician this week and say exactly this: I tried the 10-second one-leg balance test. I want you to formally assess my balance and discuss whether I should see a vestibular specialist or a physical therapist who specializes in balance and falls. Now let me tell you directly why this matters so much. The 2022 British Journal of Sports Medicine study explicitly recommended that the 10-second balance test be added to routine health checkups for adults in middle and older age. It's not routinely done, not because your doctor doesn't care, but because it's not yet on the standard annual exam checklist. You walking in with this information changes that. Your physician can note your balance baseline in your chart for future comparison, review whether any of your current medications, certain blood pressure drugs, antihistamines, some anxiety medications are reducing your balance performance as a side effect, order additional testing if needed, and refer you to the right specialist before you need emergency care. This is the thing most doctors never bring up at a routine checkup. Now, you know to ask for it. I want to end with something I say to patients when they come in worried about where they are. The ability to walk across a parking lot without bracing yourself, to take the stairs without gripping the rail, to carry groceries from the car without pausing at the curb to get your footing, to stand in the shower without fear. These are not small things. They are the physical vocabulary of a self-directed life, the fabric of independence in your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, and the research is absolutely clear. This is not fixed. This is trainable. The 10-second test is not a verdict, it's a warning, and it's also an opportunity. Your balance is not just about balance, it's about freedom, the freedom to live independently, to move confidently, to trust your own body, and the earlier you protect that system, the more years of independence you protect with it. Your body may be trying to tell you something long before a crisis arrives. Now you know how to listen. Here's what you know now that most of your peers do not. You know that failing the 10-second balance test is linked to an 84% higher risk of death from all causes, and that this risk held even after adjusting for age and existing health conditions. You know that balance is not a leg problem. It's a signal from your brain, your vestibular system, your nervous system, and your cardiovascular system, all at once. You know the 3 systems responsible: the vestibular inner ear, the proprioceptors, and muscle response speed, and why they decline in your 60s specifically. You know the 4 warning signs that appear before the test fails and what they actually mean. And you have 4 specific evidence-based actions: 2 minutes of daily one-leg practice, 3 minutes of vestibular head movements, daily tandem walking, and a direct conversation with your doctor. You have this information now. Most people do not. Use it. Now I want to close the loop we opened at the very beginning of this video. How many seconds did you hold? Write it in the comments. Right now, I want to know where you're starting from. I read every comment on this channel. And if you're comfortable sharing your age alongside your number, that context helps me create content that speaks directly to where you are in your life. If this gave you something real today, please subscribe and leave a like. Every person who does helps this channel reach another adult over 60 who desperately needs this information before a fall or health crisis changes their life. Share this video with someone in your life. A family member, a friend, a parent, someone who might have quietly dismissed their own unsteadiness as just getting older. It's not just getting older, it's something you can do something about, and that changes everything. That's why I'm here.